Have you ever said or thought to yourself, I have a stressful job. I have such a hard job. In your personal experience, that would be correct. And you'd have every right to say that. However, when you talk to enough people in your day-to-day interactions, you'll hear the same story pretty much from every single person. And it'll make you think about a little saying that I've come up with. You can call it a quote. I'm not sure if this is entirely original. It seems like such an obvious thought that I'd find it hard to believe that someone hadn't said this at some point in time. The quote goes something like this: everyone has the hardest job in the world. If you really think about that phrase, quote, sentence, it kind of is true though, because everyone is looking at things from their own perspective. It is pretty hard to see things from someone else's perspective when your perspective is the only one that you are living through every single day. So, whatever your job is, at some point, you may come to the realization that any stress and pressure, a great part of that is actually self-inflicted, self-induced. And it might take a while for you to actually appreciate that that is actually the case. You could have one situation where it doesn't stress you out at all. And then you'll have another day, a very similar situation occurs. And for some reason you are a lot more stressed out on that occasion compared to the other one. Pretty much the same thing happened. However, your emotional state, perhaps, on that day may have been different, which is why on that day you were a lot more stressed out than usual. The next time you are stressing out at your job, try to think of something like this. There's always going to be someone at that very point in time who is more stressed out than you are, perhaps has a harder job than you do. However, the stress is still the same. The stress for someone working in a warehouse, trying to get shipments out as quickly as possible. When you take a step back and think about that, it really shouldn't be too stressful. If you are working at McDonald's and making a burger, in the moment, you might feel, so-and-so shouting at me to hurry up. I feel so stressed doing all this. Now, try to think of situations that actually have a genuine right in terms of seriousness to be something to stress over. At that moment in time that you are stressing out about something that in your mind it seems like a very big deal. However, in reflection, it may not be as big of a big deal as you once thought. The next time that you are feeling that way, try to think about, at the same time that you are stressing out about such situation, there is a nurse or doctor at that point in time that is stressed out because they know that they are about to lose a patient and it's out of their control. They've done everything that they can to try to save a person's life. And someone is going to die on their watch. And they're going to have to answer for that. And they're going to have to go through all of the procedures and protocols for when that happens. And they might be extremely stressed because even though they've done everything that they can, they are still feeling a little bit guilty because, how can this happen? Or maybe a firefighter. It's in the middle of the night and a family is trapped inside a house that is on fire. And that firefighter is stressed out because he or she wants to make sure that everyone gets out of the house safely. However, the stress comes when he realizes that this may not go as I want it to go. And if the worst situation happens, I'm going to have to answer for that. And I'm going to have to go through all of the stuff that follows. Those are just two examples, but I'm sure that you can use your imagination and think about, like, look, if I'm stressing out about a truck being 5 minutes late in terms of delivery. If I'm stressing so much about that, try to think about those more serious hypotheticals. I mean, I say it's a hypothetical, but those are very real situations that people go through in their day-to-day life. So stress, can't help but feel like if your internal state is getting to that point where you are, agitated, a little bit stressed, if you are in that state, any external event or situation has the potential to tip you over the edge. And that's not because that external situation is serious. It's because it was the trigger. It was the trigger that you needed in order to completely lose it. Try to be self-aware about these things. It's something I try to pay attention to as well in my own life. I suppose you can apply this quote, everyone has the hardest job in the world. I suppose you can apply that to everyone has the hardest life in the world. Everyone suffers in their own unique way. There's no denying that. It is very clear that every single person that you come into contact with, they are going through something. And in their mind, it is very, very serious. And it is a big obstacle in their life. However, to you, it may not seem like it is such a big deal because you are not experiencing that exact thing. Perspective is everything. So don't discount anyone else's struggles just because in your mind you think that your struggles are worse. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe their struggles are a lot more hidden than yours are. Maybe your struggles is right out in the open. Everyone can see that you have a problem. And in your mind, you are probably thinking that person has it easy. I don't know what he or she is complaining about. However, everyone's situation is different. And appreciate their situation in the same way that you'd want someone to empathize and appreciate your situation with what you are going through. Everyone has the hardest job in the world. Really think about that sentence. And the more that you think about it, the more that you will realize that, hey, everyone I speak to complains about the same thing. It's because every single job and every single situation has the potential to trigger an internal emotional response. That is stress and pressure. I'll give another example. An athlete, if it's 10 seconds to go before the end of the game, a basketball player has the final shot of the game and they need to get a 3-pointer in order to win the game. If he misses the shot, then the team then they lose the championship. But if he gets it, then they win the championship. And he only has one shot. In that moment, his stress is completely valid in his mind and in other people's minds as well. However, if you take a step back, like, you'll kind of think like, hey, it's just a ball game. Like, it's just entertainment, right? Like, does it really matter? Perspective is everything. Cheers. Thank you for watching.